Uncle Mark, welcome to the channel. Let's get right to it. A buddy of mine's mother-in-law's lawnmower doesn't want to start. She thinks maybe he should buy her a new one. I think we shouldn't give her that satisfaction. Let's take a look at it. Never had one of these apart before. It's the pull-in with the plastic carburetor. I think all the Briggs & Strattons now use it. It just must be dirty inside because we can start it if we spray a little bit of brake cleaner in it and give her a pull. Well, it'll start for a second. Anyway, let's get to it. First thing I'm going to do, see if it'll start. That's what I was told, and it didn't matter how many times you pull it. Yeah, so it's like, well, let's do some quick checks. Is there gas in it? There was a little bit of gas. Should be enough to run it. Didn't smell weird or old or anything, so gas should be okay. Then I thought, some newer mowers, probably a lot fancier than this, have a low oil switch so that it won't start if the oil's too low, but the oil was fine. So there's two things ruled out. So I figured, well, let's take a little closer look at it. So this is where the air filter is. It's kind of plugged up a little bit, but it should, you think, at least start. A little dirty, but not bad. So they said if you sprayed something in there, you could start it, or at least get it to start a little bit. So I sprayed some brake cleaner in there. Give her a couple tugs. See if it starts or not. And as you saw, it did fire a couple times and then not. So this saves us a whole bunch of time, I'm thinking. First of all, since we can see whether we have, because it will start, the plugs have to be good and the spark is good. Of course, everything inside the motor's got to be good too. There's not a bent valve or a stuck valve or something like that wrong with the piston, because it does start. So it's got to be something with the carb, but what? For some reason, gas is not getting where it needs to go. So I figured, well, let's just get at the carb. There is a quicker way. You almost really don't have to take this part off if you had the top of the engine where the start pulley is. But in this part, I'm going to show you how to take it off this way. Two different kinds of bolts, 7mm and an 8mm. I don't know why they wouldn't be the same. And take that plastic piece off. So then I thought, well, maybe the choke isn't closing enough. That could be. If I would have had an extra person that could have pull started, we could try and choke it and see if we can get some, if it'll start. And if it did, well, then maybe the choke needs adjusting. I wish it closed more, but I don't know how much it has to be closed. I'm going to try and make it close a little bit more, but anyway, as we mentioned here, give her a couple shots in there. And she fires like first pull. So why aren't we getting fuel? So there's 3 bolts on here. On the top, take that cover off. It's going to give us more access. They're 8mm bolts. They're not on very tight because, again, most of this thing is plastic, including the carburetor. So we're going to have to be careful when we start fiddling with that. Don't want to break it. I better, I've got my little magnetic bowl that dish that I'm going to put my bolts in. I figured, well, I'll take a look at this choke just for a minute, see how it works. It looks like it has been working. So I thought, well, let's pinch the gas from the gas tank off and unhook everything. We'll take the carb off. I haven't played with one of these in ages. Like the last lawnmower I tinkered with, I don't know how long ago it was. They've sure made a lot of differences and improvements, maybe. The carb isn't even bolted on it, it's just friction fit on there. Well, I guess when you bolt your air filter on, that holds the whole thing on there. But so right now, with everything else unhooked, it would have been smart just to pull up on the gas tank because it's just sitting there, and this would all have been exposed. You'll see that's how I put it back together later. Had some issues with my camera as I was filming this. Went into slow motion a couple times, so I had to re-film some stuff. Hey, I got to know the machine pretty good, though. Pretty simple little carburetor. So get all these little linkages off. There's only really 2 linkages on there. And everything seems to open and close fine. Nothing's binding. So figured, okay. Now if we look at the bottom here, see this Allen key. I'm going to take that off, see what it's like. Some of the older ones, that actually was part of how it metered the fuel. So it's a 10 millimeter Allen wrench, I believe. It's metric. And it just turns like a quarter turn or something like that, and then it pops up or out. So don't give it a real hard yank because you'll break it. Remember, it's all plastic. And it looks like it's just like a drain. In case like you've got sediment in there. Fuel's going to spill it, so you might as well go and dump it in a pail or something like that. It's not going to be a whole lot of fuel. I'm going to stick that back in because it doesn't really matter. We don't need it off. I don't want to lose it. But you'll notice that this Allen key access or whatever is closest to where your fuel line plugs in. There's two different ways you can set that on there. So you'll notice on this one I've actually got that air filter still on the housing. I'm just going to take these two bolts off of here and go from there. Looks like these are the 7 millimeter. And then you just need a screwdriver. I was having some problems with recording. I didn't want to do it again. Just slowly pry it apart. It's just two halves, gently. It's got an O-ring that holds it together. It's actually a nice little system. Pop it off, and there's your float. There'll be a little needle in there too, so you want to pull this hinge pin or whatever you want to call it out. It slides out. It should slide out easy. So I claim. Notice I've got gloves on too. Can't hurt. And it'll come out, and you've got to be careful. There's a little needle there, metering needle. And I had this apart a couple times before. Just I didn't want to take this piece out now because you're going to see if you try to. It's really hard to get out. It's all plastic. I'm worried I'm going to break the black housing, and if I do that, it's going to be a have to buy these folks a carburetor. I am being gentle, but I've cleaned everything else up, and it looks like it's probably in here. I don't know what a new carb is worth. If I find one, I'll put it in the description, but you should. It's so simple. I was worried because I've never really played around with these before. We'll get some carb cleaner and clean everything out. Here it's going to pop right away. Maybe it looks like I'm not gentle. There it goes. Pop. And it comes out. And this is only going to go in one way when you try and put it back in, so don't worry which way it goes in now. So there's a few holes here. We're going to blast some carb cleaner into them and see what happens. Watch it spray out the top. I think it sprays out the top. There you go. Spray in this one. See where it goes. They kind of spray here, spray there, spray everywhere. It depends on which hole you plug to as to where it's going to go out first. I don't know if this one actually does anything on this carb. Like it, I don't know. I think it looks, to my naked eye, I can see the hole there. Looks clean. I tried spraying everything anyway. Make sure whatever goo might be in there, might be a grain or something. Maybe gas got old. There's also a hole in this piece, where that plastic white piece just came out of. Try and show you it. It's kind of hard to see. It's inside there. It's a top. I'll get a light. There you go, right there. That hole. That's where the fuel ends up going into. So I'm going to try and blast that with some carb cleaner also. And see if it comes out anywhere, and you can hear it and see it coming out. So obviously that's clear. So I'm thinking, well, why won't this run? If I've taken this all apart and it's not going to work now. Then I had some of this. This was you could use twist tie. It's about the same size if you stripped off the plastic. This was from a motor mount that I bought. You'll see as a video I'm going to do on my wife's van. And there was a tag on there with a part number, and this was the little metal that was left there, and I thought, no, I might be able to use it for something. And sure enough. So cleaned them all up. Everything seems fine. I didn't see any junk fall out, but this is going to run. So something must have changed. We must have cleaned something up. Now you notice it only goes one way if you try to put it in. One way it sits about 1/4 of an inch out. If you try it this way, see, it won't go in. That way, just about bottoms out. Then you give it a couple clicks. Click that way. Click the other way. It's not going to fall out. And then it's just put our fuel metering float back in. Remember, it's got that little silver metering needle. Just plops in there. Now maybe you could have this silver hinge already in the white piece and click it down, but I don't want to break anything. So if you're very careful, you push it down, you can slide it into the hole. Slide it across. Make sure it slides across and is still in that hole or in those fingers that are holding it. You'll see if you look at it this way, if it's sitting straight or not, and if it moves freely or not. And let's put the bottom down. Remember, the Allen key hole fits that same side or faces closest to where our fuel line's going to bolt onto. Put it together. Sorry I couldn't show you that, but it's easy. It's just those 2 silver bolts. And then put the linkage back on. So I'm looking for the choke linkage. It's like I see the other linkage for the accelerator or the, I guess it would be the governor. I'm looking. It's like, where is it? Did I lose a part? Then I found out, well, there's a little finger that got flicked and hidden. I'll show you here right away. I'm still looking, can't see it. And it's like, oh, there it is. It doesn't actually open or close anything. It's just a little finger that pushes against another finger that does something with the choke. Probably has a proper name, but it doesn't really matter. So far, so good. We haven't broken anything. We haven't lost anything. There's not too many pieces to lose, so that's nice. It's a pretty simple carb. Trying to figure, why would they make it out of plastic? Are they being cheap? But I guess the plastic really won't corrode like the old metals used to. That's probably what they're going to say the reason is, so good for them, I guess. This thing is 2014 and now we're in 2021, so you've got a little older lawnmower, but what if this thing was like 30 years old? Now you see I've got the gas tank off? That was the smart way to do it. Pop the gas tank off and then the carb and everything comes out. This way you don't have to worry about the lines or nothing. You don't have to worry about it leaking. Because I had tilted the gas tank on its side or on its back. So you can plop the carb in. First, it just friction fits in there. Only one way it goes on. And then put that little breather tube or whatever on there. And then stick the gas tank back on. It just kind of clips over and down. You can probably put these things together when they're brand new really quick. Then put the top on, pull your rope a little bit just to make sure that everything engages. It might not be sitting properly. And put your bolts back in. Tighten those guys up. And then it's going to be the moment of truth. Probably going to take a little bit of time for the carb to fill up with fuel. We'll give it a pull. Oh, just about. It's alive, as they say. It runs. Huh. That was the best thing here. So I tried it again a little bit later. First pull. So I'm going to put this back together. So I got the 2 silver ones back in. Now we're going to do the black ones. They're a little different size, I believe. If I recall right. For your air filter. And then this filter should be replaced. It wouldn't hurt, I guess. I'll mention that to them. And clips on from the bottom. Probably the easiest. Clips on the top. There you go. Done. So, I'm amazed. Finally, we got it running, or I got it running. You and I got it running. Thanks for being with me with this. It looks like just, a little bit of dirt in it. If you can use twist tie that doesn't have the plastic on it, that's just about small enough to get in that hole there. So I'm glad it's starting and running, and so is my buddy. You can subscribe down in the corner. I usually don't have lawnmower stuff. We've got car stuff, but whatever is engine related. Just a guy at home. Give me the thumbs up, please. And until next time, I'm just going to say bye-bye for now from Uncle Mark.
Remember to be safe. Your safety is your responsibility and should be priority number one. Also, give me the thumbs up if you like the video. Plus, please subscribe and you'll get all the notifications. It's easy. The little dog will show you how. Ring the bell. Ring the bell.
Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing.